Hello, this is R Rats with Team 4545 League, analyzing a game in Team 52, last round of the playoffs. This is between Iceface and JHB Chess. And I've already played through this game. I watched a little bit of it live at the end, and I've got a few things to say here that I've said many times before, and I'm going to say them again. Okay, Caro-Kann, exchange variation, and so far so good. Now, generally what black does is play knight c6 first, and then white plays c3, but this is okay. But what white needs to play right now, period, is bishop f4. Okay? You got to seize that diagonal. You want to seize it before the black queen gets on it. And white's next move, I'm going to spend some time criticizing it. Anything to drive the point home, because I've made many videos where I've mentioned this pawn to king rook 3 move using English descriptive notation just seems to come up more and more and more, and I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but it comes from some kind of faulty chess knowledge or fear of the unknown. Using English descriptive notations, it's pawn to rook 3, or specifically pawn to king rook 3. The other one would be pawn to queen rook 3. The pawn to queen rook 3 move comes up in a lot of openings. It's standard. Winnower French from the white side. Winnower French. Nimzo Indian. Some variations of the Queen's Indian. For black, many variations of the Sicilian, including the Najdorf. But it's very rare to find moves or openings where one side is playing pawn to king rook 3. Ever. Especially when it's not even attacking anything. The move is designed for two reasons. Number one, to keep the opponent out of g4 with either a bishop or a knight, because it could give pressure on f2 or d1, or it's to try to provide a safe haven for the bishop on h2. So maybe what white's fearing is if I play bishop h4, he plays there, oh, I lose my bishop. Well, so what? You look what you got. You've got an open rook file to work with, and he's wasted some time. So, guys, you got to stop playing pawn to king rook 3, period. Whatever it takes. If you see this game, go to your game forum, look for the option, or I think it's in your player menu, look for the option to email your team. Send them to this video. Send them the link. Say, look at this, guys. You're playing the wrong move. This stuff has to stop if you want your game to get better. Alright? Okay, so we'll see if this kind of gets white in some trouble here, just the way he played this opening when he had at least full equality. Okay, now here's the point where you need to bite the bullet and play c3, but he plays knight f3, and maybe this goes back to that faulty thinking, aha, you can't pin me now because I've stopped it. But anyway, now look what black does. A little surprise. We conjectured that maybe white was trying to preserve his dark squared bishop, which, by the way, hasn't even developed yet. Now look, his light squared bishop is loose. Black's going to take off that one. So maybe black would have played knight h5 if white had played bishop f4, but we don't know. But so what? Okay, how does white deal with this? Is he going to move the bishop just to save it, or is he going to let black have it? Yeah, he moves it to save it. Okay, fine. But now, look what happens. Now suddenly, black has some threats. There's the threat. It's on c2. How are you going to deal with that? Oops. Okay, well, if you had played c3, going back a couple of moves, this wouldn't have been a problem. But nope, didn't do it. Now you wasted time with your bishop and allowing black to counterattack. So you have to come up with this move, knight a3. And the knight can get into play later, but for now it's not where we want it. Okay, e6. Now maybe it's time to think about castling, or even c3 right here and now. If you play c3, it does force the knight to go somewhere, I believe. I don't think black has a trick, and so it goes back to c6. And if you don't want the double pawns, you can put the knight on c2 with the idea of eventually getting it to e3. But anyway, let's see what white does. Okay, wow, third time that piece moved. Third time. What's going on? Castle, play c3, get developed. Okay. Yeah, it was with check, and it dropped the knight back. But now there's that knight at that's under attack by the bishop. If black wants to mess up white's pawns, he will. And in fact, that's what he does. So bishop b5 just kind of helped white mess up his game a little more. So maybe what he needs to do is bite the bullet and come back and play knight b1. Of course, there's some new complications in here. Queen a5 check. Whoops, you got to play knight to c3. I don't know. You know, it's just kind of messy. Okay, so with that in mind, knight e5. Now this is premature. Why are you going there? You still haven't castled. You still have an undeveloped queen side. Your knight on a3 is not doing a heck of a lot. Yeah, it threatens to win a pawn and more, because if black does nothing, you pick up the exchange on top of it. But premature attacks just don't work in chess. Okay, so check. Now Queen d2. Ugh. Just seems bad. You're blocking in your bishop. What if black just slides the queen back? Now, how are you going to develop that bishop? Not that easy. Is it? Nope, it isn't. Plus, you're still not castled. Okay, anyway. Let's see what black does. Bishop b4 is okay. But now, there's a double piece. Now, white has to do that because the defender, it was just removed, so you have to do this with check. And the game's probably still about even, but any chance for white to get an advantage is long since vanished. Black is one move from castling, and it'll be completely developed. The bishop would be developed on b2, but not very well placed. The queen still has to move to get it to a better square, if there are any. Okay, now knight e4, come in with tempo. Now queen b2. It seems to me that black could just castle here and plant a rook over on b8 and chase that queen around a little bit. There's a loose pawn. Wow. Doesn't take it. Oh, I see. He wants to take care of that. So white goes and gobbles. Now black's a pawn down, but he can get it back. He's in no hurry. That pawn's not going anywhere. And white has white's extra pawn is effect doubled, and then one backward on the open file. Black has a backward pawn on the open file too, but it's not all that backward. White's not poised to pressure it. So finally the bishop comes out. At least it found a move with tempo. Maybe that's what it took, that you can attack something with it to get it developed. But white should have been on that diagonal on move 4 or 5 or whatever it was. Okay, so now black grabs the pawn, restoring material equality. Now knight c1. What is that for? Oh, it was attacked. Okay. Well, if that's the case, why not put it on a better square? Why bring it back where it's gonna where it's gonna interfere with the rooks getting connected? What's wrong with knight c5? What black can do is stick a rook on the c file and try and undermine things with e5. Unless I'm missing something, that should work okay for white for now. Just get a piece on a better square, but he didn't. So knight c1, got to live with it. Going and attacking the double pawn. I guess he lets him have it. Okay, so white's redeploying his knight, trying to find a better square, but white's still not completely developed. Here's move 22, and the rooks aren't connected. Now, maybe by now you don't want a castle. Maybe you want to play king d2 instead, but you have to be careful that black doesn't stick a rook on c8 and run down to c2 here in a hurry. So, I don't know, why doesn't... That pawn's not really going anywhere. We can get it later. What's wrong with just rook c8 here? What's white going to do? Is he going to save his pawn? Well, let's see. Come back here, renew the threat. We had that threat earlier, now it's back. What's white going to do? If he plays king e2, we just come down with check and double up. What's white gonna... Oops, dang it. Okay, what move are we on? Forward. 44 ought to be pretty close. Okay. What I was saying was rook FC8. What's white going to do? Black's coming down to the 7th rank. There's just basically no way to stop it. Okay, I need to move on so we can just cover some other key points here. Okay, so takes the pawn. Now he castles. Well, one more thing. King D2, rook C8, rook C1. Then, of course, oh, you can just go in there anyway. And got all kinds of tricks coming up here. Anyway, it's something for white to analyze on his own. Let me just kind of run through what happened. There's going to be an exchange of rooks shortly, and we go into a minor piece ending, and white's trying to get rid of pawns, and actually does a good job getting rid of pawns. There, the rooks are gone, and white will have some drawing motifs. There are bishops of opposite colors here, which can make can help in some variations. Okay, there goes a pawn, and white may have had some drawing chances. I'm not certain. It seemed like black always had a little bit of an edge. And a note to the clock. There's black with more time than he started, so he's playing too quick. Slow down, guys. I'm really surprised that black had an advantage with spending that little time, but then again, looking at the white clock, I guess I'm not surprised. White could have taken his time on a lot of these moves and found better places for his pieces. But anyway, there goes another pawn, and black helps out. Now we're now getting to the point where white is kind of close to getting a draw. Nothing perfect yet for the moment. The knight and bishop are working together. He's cutting off the black king from a lot of key squares. So right now the only entry point would be to come around to b4, and if you come around too quick, maybe you're going to drop this g5 pawn, and if white plays to exchange it off, it further displaces his king from the action, and that's what's going to happen. But the point is, if let me just play one move and I'll circle it. If white can eliminate these two pawns and get his king to a1 and trade knights, he's got a draw. He can just give up his bishop for things, because that's a theoretical draw. So it's kind of close, but nothing's forced. And here he does it, but I think what this ends up doing is just putting his king too far from the action. And now, clearly black's intent was to play to d5 and fork, and there's white with his king out of the way. Maybe you've got to preserve things. You probably don't want to play bishop takes. That's going to lose. Kind of hard to find a square for the knight. Maybe bishop d2 and then try and keep the knight on by getting up to b5. But anyway, that's just an idea to look at. But what happens now is the black king is active and going to run down the white position. And probably the better move is to bring the bishop somewhere down this direction. But it looks like probably black is going to win. I didn't verify it. I only have about 40 seconds left on my allotted 15. So I won't know for sure. Interesting move. But the black king is just too active, and black's going to win this. And the white king is still stuck way over there on the king side, just can't do anything. So there's possibilities for a draw, but not certain. There's quite a few lessons to be learned in playing the opening and the middle game and going into the ending. I hope it was helpful for you. I wish I had more time to spend on it, but I try to keep these all under 15 minutes. I thank you so much for your time. Take care.